Walking the Talk. 1 year report of actualizing the Chief of Army Staff Command philosophy towards transforming the Nigerian Army. In an effort to rejig the professional efficiency and effectiveness of the armed forces, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu, appointed the Chief of Defense Staff and other service chiefs on 19th June 2023. Sequel to the appointment, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja became the 23rd Chief of Army Staff and subsequently assumed command of the Nigerian Army on 23rd June 2023. On assumption of office, Lieutenant General Lagbaja conceptualized a comprehensive Chief of Army Staff command philosophy to align with the fast-changing security and strategic environment in the country and globally. The command philosophy, which is
to transform the Nigerian Army into a well-trained, equipped, and highly motivated force towards achieving our constitutional responsibilities within a joint environment,
aims to provide a clear roadmap to revolutionize and transform the Nigerian Army under his watch to effectively combat terrorism, insurgency, banditry, secession agitations, and other threats of criminality across the country in aid of civil authority. In deepening his command philosophy, the Chief of Army Staff left no one in doubt of his expectations. He made it clear that the philosophy would be premised on three main pillars: leadership, operational effectiveness, and sound administration. In his exemplary leadership style, the Chief of Army Staff's first duty call was to visit troops at the epicenter of the ongoing counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency operations in the Northeast, codenamed Operation Hadinkai, to assess their state of readiness and interact with the troops to obtain first-hand information about their welfare with a view to improving on it. While at the theater, he commended the troops for their loyalty, determination, and doggedness in the ongoing operations. He equally called on the troops to align with the Nigerian Army's current operational and administrative agenda, which have been aptly captured in his command philosophy. Since then, the Chief of Army Staff has continued to conduct operational assessment tours to Nigerian Army formations and units across the country to boost the morale of personnel and shore up their operational efficiencies as they discharge their constitutional responsibilities. In keeping with his commitment to leadership by example, General Lagbaja made efforts to entrench the key leadership values of unity and purpose and mutual trust by promoting the mission command philosophy, in which commanders are given tasks, responsibilities, and adequately resourced to execute them with little supervision. The Chief of Army Staff conferences are equally held regularly to provide a veritable platform for regular consultation with field commanders for a comprehensive review of Nigerian Army's activities in each quarter. Additionally, in furtherance of his commitment to creating an enabling environment for transparency, accessibility, and inclusiveness within the Nigerian Army, General Lagbaja ensured that channels of communication are open to all personnel, regardless of rank or appointment, to present their concerns, ideas, and suggestions. This openness has no doubt helped to foster the dissemination of critical updates, instructions, and guidance to the entire service. The Chief of Policy and Plans, Army, sheds more light.
One of the policies formulated by the department in furtherance of the Chief of Army Staff's philosophy is the Nigerian Army Policy on Drugs and Substance Abuse of 2023. This is due to the increasing prevalence of drug abuse among our personnel. The abuse of drugs impacts negatively on the psychological and physical states of our troops. Substance abuse contributes to high-risk behavior, which negates values of the Nigerian Army and erodes personnel readiness. Now, this policy is also geared towards guiding commanders at all levels on the ways of sensitization, prevention, treatment, rehabilitation, and even sanction where necessary of personnel engaged in substance abuse. Hence, the overall aim of the policy is to curb any security threats that could be occasioned by the use and abuse of drugs and illicit substances. The next policy is a review of Army procurement policy. Now, in line with the process of acquiring military hardware, goods, and services from original equipment manufacturing countries and private sectors, the Nigerian Army procurement policy of 1999 was formulated. However, the logistics requirements of modern warfare are numerous and expensive, while available resources are always very limited. Therefore, to clearly identify requirements and match them against available resources, a review of the procurement policy for the Nigerian Army became very necessary. The policy thrust is in line with the federal government of Nigeria's directive to encourage local production by exploiting research and development, facilities within the Nigerian Army and local industries to guarantee security in our defense acquisition.
With the unwavering support of Mr. President, the Nigerian Army, under the watch of Lieutenant General Lagbaja, has continued to receive tremendous support from the federal government in the form of logistics, combat enablers, and welfare support schemes to motivate troops for optimal operational effectiveness. The intervention includes the recent operationalization of Nigerian Army Aviation with the federal government's commitments to procure MD-530 COAS helicopters. The aviation outfit will have a significant impact on the land force's agility, responsiveness, and efficiency while contributing to the overall operational success of the joint force. Nigerian Army pilots are also currently type rating on the Bell helicopters in South Africa. The platform, which will be inducted into the Nigerian Army Aviation in about 2 months, will enhance the timely deployment of troops, supplies, and equipment to various locations, especially in remote or difficult terrains. Similarly, to mitigate the impact of improvised explosive devices (IED) on the casualty rate of troops and severe damage to high-value assets in the ongoing counter-terrorism and insurgency operations in the Northeast, the federal government approved the procurement of Husky counter-improvised explosive device vehicles. The device is regarded as a military working dog because of its detective capability. The device has an exceptional sense of smell that allows it to detect presence of explosives that may be concealed or disguised. Furthermore, despite the fluid and unpredictable security situation across the country, the Nigerian Army, under the leadership of General Lagbaja, has continued to reshape and redefine the security landscape, making considerable progress in stabilizing the country's security. One notable effort of General Lagbaja since assuming office as Chief of Army Staff is the continuous injection of trained troops and special equipment into the Northeast Theater for special operations such as Mountain Sanity 2, Lake Sanity 2, and Desert Sanity 3, which have continued to complement efforts to degrade Islamic State West Africa Province (ISWAP) and Jimatu al-Hissuna Leader Awahi wal Jihad (JAS) terrorist groups. The objectives of these operations were to eliminate terrorist elements in Sambisa Forest and other land areas such as Mandara Mountains, the Timbuktu Triangle, and the Lake Chad region through intense clearance operations as well as upscaled air interdictions. Remarkably, as of 7th June 2024, a total of 110,152 terrorists and their families have surrendered, including 19,331 fighters and men, 33,927 women, and 56,894 children. Most male surrenderers are undergoing profiling and camped, while the troops have exterminated over several Boko Haram Islamic State West Africa Province BH ISWAP terrorists and arrested many Boko Haram and ISWAP terrorists in the past 12 months. Additionally, over hundreds of civilian hostages have been rescued from captivity, including 10 of the remaining Chibok girls since May 2023, bringing the total number of rescued Chibok girls to 132. These efforts have greatly improved the security situation in the Northeast and have expectedly enhanced the trust and confidence of the public towards the troops.
For us, this is not just a ceremony, this is just not a celebration, this is a measure of the fact that peace is returning to Adamawa State.
This was evidenced in the heartwarming welcome according to the Nigerian Army heroic troops on returning from a successful operation in Sambisa and Timbuktu Triangle during Operation Desert Sanity 3. The spontaneous heroic welcome of the troops by the local community captures the genuine and heartfelt appreciation of the local communities to the troops for their successful operations. Similarly, intensified offensive operations in the northwest and north-central regions to eliminate armed bandits and other criminal elements are yielding significant outcomes with the elimination of key terrorist commanders such as Sani Dangote, Isaiah Boderi, Kachala Ali Kawaje, Alhaji Badu and Leko, among others. The sustained efforts through the projection of force in operations Hadaring Daji, Forest Sanity and Well Punch have helped to successfully target strongholds of a substantial number of terrorists, insurgents and other criminal elements enclaves in the northwest and north-central zones. These operations have led to the destruction of terrorist enclaves and bandits' dens, neutralizing scores of terrorists and significantly degrading their operational capabilities while continuing to aggressively be on the trail of fleeing ones. For instance, in the northwest, a total of 438 terrorists have been neutralized and 515 arrested, as well as about 971 kidnapped hostages rescued, including men, women, and children. Additionally, troops have recovered 99 AK-47 rifles, 2 FN rifles, 3,790 rounds of 7.62mm special ammunition, 39 rounds of 7.62mm NATO ammunition, 155 assorted arms and 367 assorted ammunition in the last year. Similarly, in the north-central zone, a total of 144 terrorists have been neutralized, 1,567 arrested, and about 354 kidnapped hostages rescued, including men, women, and children. Additionally, troops also recovered 71 AK rifles, 3 FN rifles, and 2,714 rounds of 7.62mm special ammunition. Others include 976 rounds of 7.62mm NATO ammunition, 257 assorted arms, and 2,143 assorted ammunition. These feats have facilitated the restoration of public confidence, relative peace and economic activities in many parts of the regions. As a result, many internally displaced persons have returned to their ancestral homes and communities in these regions as they are experiencing a greater sense of security and stability, with the threat of violence diminishing significantly.
You know, their presence alone in the state sends out signals that yes, that the reason and must remain the reason why peace is coming back to Benue. I'm even so happy to announce that a number of local governments who were in the front lines on these insecurities, with the support of the federal government and our establishment of the military and the uniformed, people have gone back to their farms as I'm speaking, including Makudi and Guma local government, just where it was a hit point.
Relatedly, troops deployed in the South-South and Southeast regions on Joint Task Force Operations Delta Safe and Operation Udoka have continued to perform creditably. Both operations have led to the neutralization of a significant number of indigenous people of Biafra terrorist and criminal elements from his militia arm, the Eastern Security Network, the recovery of numerous firearms and ammunition, as well as the destruction of several illegal oil refineries. Additionally, joint efforts with other services and security agencies in operations Delta Safe and Udoka have significantly increased daily crude exploration output, with a corresponding boost to Nigeria's foreign reserve and other economic indices. In the South-South, the major operational achievement includes the destruction of several items associated with crude oil theft within the period. Items destroyed include 3,051 dugout pits, 1,276 boats, 3,924 storage tanks, and 408 vehicles. Furthermore, troops arrested a total of 35 notorious illegal oil bunkerers, destroyed about 29 illegal refineries, they confiscate about 92.5 billion liters of crude oil, 61.4 illegally refined diesel, 3.9 million liters of kerosene, and 3.3 million liters of petrol. In Southeast, terrorists have been neutralized, 284 arrested, and 60 kidnapped victims rescued, including men, women, and children. Additionally, troops also recovered 15 AK-47 rifles, 3 FN rifles, 1,065 rounds of 7.62mm NATO ammunition, 95 assorted arms, and 796 assorted ammunition. In a bid to clear remnants of unexploded ordnance from the site of the 2002 bomb blast in the Nigerian Army cantonment Ikeja, Lagos, due to the danger it posed to the cantonment and surrounding communities, the Chief of Army Staff directed the Nigerian Army engineers conduct a deliberate clearance operation dubbed Exercise Clean Sweep at the site. The operation involved the coordination of various military and non-military stakeholders, including Lagos and Ogun State's emergency management agencies, Fire Service, the Nigeria Police Force, the Federal Road Safety Corps, the Department of State Service, the media, and traditional leaders. During the clearance operation, the Husky counter-improvised vehicle with ground-penetrating radar sensor, a Max Pro vehicle with a manipulator and Valon dual sensor, as well as handheld detectors, were deployed to locate and recover the unexploded ordnance. The accident-free exercise led to the successful recovery of about 1,413 unexploded ordnance, which were subsequently detonated at the Nigerian Army range at Owode Agilete in Ogun State. With this effort, the Nigerian Army cantonment Ikeja and surrounding communities are now safe from the threat and danger of accidental detonation of unexploded ordnance. The Nigerian Army's commitment to remaining a viable diplomatic tool for the country through consistent and effective contributions to national, regional, and global security is worth noting. Despite the Nigerian Army's internal obligations, it has maintained a significant, though small, presence in COAS African Union and United Nations-led interventions around the world as contingents, staff officers, military observers, and mission experts. Only recently, on approval of the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, the second company of the Nigerian contingent in the United Nations Interim Security Force for ABA was inducted on 5 April 2024. This effort is geared towards upholding Nigeria's commitment to maintaining global peace and security, particularly within the African continent. Similarly, the Nigerian Army has extended its support to peacekeeping missions in the Gambia and Guinea-Bissau by deploying troops and resources. These deployments underscore the Nigerian Army's steadfast commitment to providing capable peacekeepers as part of the nation's contribution to global peace and security. The Chief of Operations Army explains further.
Under the Chief of Army Staff Directive, the combat readiness of the Nigerian Army has significantly improved through enhanced resource allocation, injection of additional manpower, force multipliers, and other equipment, just to make sure that all our formations are ready to act at every point in time, and they must be very effective. A substantial number of terrorists, insurgents, and violent extremists and other enemies of the Nigerian state have been neutralized. We have significantly diminished their operational capabilities nationwide. Notably, within the first 1 year, that's from when the Chief of Army Staff took off, over 1,300 criminals have been neutralized, over 6,300 individuals arrested, and the successful rescue of over 2,800 civilians, including those of the Chibok girls.
It is pertinent to mention that the Nigerian Army's performance under the watch of Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja has continued to receive the backing of the present administration in terms of logistics, combat enablers, and welfare support schemes to motivate troops for optimal operational effectiveness in the conduct of operations across the country. The support is in the form of efficient procurement and induction of military hardware and software across the theaters of operations. These include the purchase of over 2,000 new platforms and the acquisition of combat enablers, such as the newly acquired mine-resistant ambush-protected MRAP vehicles, the recently commissioned 10 gunboats in Port Harcourt, which has greatly improved the operational readiness and capacity of the Nigerian Army in the riverine domain. Others include newly acquired troops carrying vehicles TCV, Husky counter-improvised explosive device IED vehicles, drones, and several Buffalo Hilux vehicles, amongst other enablers. Apart from the acquisition of new platforms, the Nigerian Army, through the instrumentality of its Command Engineering Depot, has continued to be innovative and creative in maintaining its combat equipment holding by rebuilding and retrofitting combat equipment casualties such as those that got burnt or damaged due to adversarial activities during operations. These efforts have, in no small measure, saved the Nigerian Army and nation huge sums of funds. Evidently, logistics support under the current leadership has played a crucial role in enhancing the capacity of the Nigerian Army to train realistically and conduct operations across various spectrums and theaters. The Chief of Logistics Army elaborates more.
Upon the appointment of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General T.A. Lagbaja, the Nigerian Army is increasingly being repositioned to carry out its roles at achieving most especially operational effectiveness. To this end, he has ensured that barracks are renovated, troops are properly equipped, and in all spheres, including provision of uniforms and all accoutrements and other items that they need in carrying out their jobs effectively. Various aspects have been attended to. Vehicles have been provided in their numbers
to ensure that troops can be timely deployed at short notice. These include 4x4 wheeled ambulances, emplacement of meals ready to eat, and so on and so forth.
In the quest to enhance personnel capability and readiness to confront emerging demands of current military operations, the Nigerian Army's modules of training were reviewed to be mission-focused. One such training includes Shining Star 5, Fast Bolt 2, and Restore Hope 6, tailored to equip and adapt personnel who freshly passed out of Depot Nigerian Army to the challenges posed by the ever-changing nature of threats within Nigeria's security environment. The personnel are to conduct special missions such as rappelling and insertion operations deep into enemy lines to carry out rescue missions and raids. This is in addition to ensuring that training aids were given top priority while the conduct of other tactical training such as combat sports competitions, combat proficiency tests, seminars, workshops and command posts as well as field training exercises were upgraded to develop a viral and capable leadership structure that can effectively guide and motivate personnel. The Chief of Training, Army, speaks further on training in the Nigerian Army.
It is evident from his command philosophy that one of the central focus is to ensure that training standard in the Nigerian Army is improved. Accordingly, there have been a lot of reviews, and in particular, a lot of injections of new ideas have been made towards ensuring that the Nigerian Army Doctrine 2022 is implemented very well. In particular, there have been focus in ensuring that the conduct of mission-oriented training across all NA schools, the conduct of various formation and unit trainings such as exercise, Shining Star, basic battle course are now conducted very well, and a lot of innovations have been introduced. Such trainings we have also been carrying them out in partnership with some of our foreign experts. And furthermore, to ensure that the instructors, particularly at the various schools, are doing their jobs very well. A lot of innovations have been introduced, particularly in terms of enhancing their welfare, and that has been sustained accordingly. The Chief of Army Staff has always and has continued to emphasize the importance of adherence to international humanitarian law, particularly in the conduct of our operations. The Department of Army Training has continued to devote attention to enhancing training, particularly in aspects of international humanitarian law.
Sound administration is one of the pillars of Lieutenant General Lagbaja's command philosophy as Chief of Army Staff, and in his bid to fulfill this crucial morale-boosting requirement, the Chief of Army Staff initiated tangible welfare packages in line with his commitment to give Nigerian Army personnel and their families the best to get the best out of them. One significant welfare breakthrough under Lieutenant General Lagbaja is obtaining the federal government's commitment to clear over 18 billion naira backlog of group life insurance scheme payments to the next of kin of deceased personnel and implementation of the group personal accident insurance scheme, which focuses only on death, injury and other incidents of ill health conditions occasioned by accident. It is also worthy of mention that in addition to the scholarships for children and wards of deceased personnel who paid the supreme price, unreserved attention was accorded to local and foreign medical treatment of personnel and their immediate families. Mindful of the increasing number of personnel requiring state-of-the-art facilities to manage battle injuries and other serious medical conditions, and the dilapidating medical facilities in most of the Nigerian Army hospitals and medical centers, significant interventions are being made in most of the 129 Nigerian Army medical facilities across the country. This is with a view to boosting their capacity to effectively handle the medical exigencies of personnel and their families and reduce the barest minimal foreign exchange requirement to evacuate personnel and their families abroad for management. As of date, one of the remodeled brigade medical centers, the 401 Special Forces Brigade Medical Center in Makurdi, has been completed and commissioned for use, while the 44 Nigerian Army Reference Hospital Kaduna now boasts a well-equipped radiodiagnostic center with a 1.5 Tesla magnetic resonance imaging MRI machine. It is heartwarming to mention that several personnel, both serving and retired, as well as their families, have continued to benefit from both local and foreign medical evacuation and treatments while the reforms in the medical facilities are ongoing. Between 23rd June 2023 and 31st May 2024, about a number of personnel serving and retired and about a number of family members of personnel have benefited from foreign medical evacuation to Israel, Turkey, Egypt, India, and other renowned medical destinations. Worthy of mention was the child of a serving soldier who benefited from the Nigerian Army foreign medical evacuation effort, sequel to a life-threatening heart condition that required surgery procedure that was not available in country. The child had a successful heart surgery and is presently enjoying a hale and hearty life. Shelter is generally accepted as an essential need for all humans. In a bid to meet this critical element of sound administration, the Chief of Army Staff made provision of quality and affordable personal home and barracks accommodation a priority of his leadership. Consequently, the first 1,000 sets of housing units under the Affordable House Ownership Option for all soldiers, also known as AHOA scheme, designed to alleviate post-service accommodation challenges by soldiers, are nearing completion in the Idu area of Abuja. This initiative undoubtedly reflects General Lagbaja's commitment to addressing the housing needs of Nigerian Army personnel. As a way of making the scheme inclusive and showing sensitivity to the plight of soldiers with battle disabilities such as blindness, double amputation of the upper or lower limbs, and other similar invalidating combat-related injuries, 5% of the AOA's houses was set aside in each state for allocation to this category of soldiers. The Army headquarters is to bear 100% cost of houses allocated to this category of soldiers, demonstrating current leadership's sensitivity to their plight. Aside from the AHOAs, the Chief of Army Staff introduced other welfare schemes such as the Nigerian Army Welfare Loan (NAWL), Chief of Army Staff Cash Loan Scheme (CCLS), and Chief of Army Staff Personnel Empowerment Loan Scheme (CPELS). The Chief of Army Staff Personnel Empowerment Loan Scheme, effective 30th April 2024. This scheme aims to empower Nigerian Army personnel and their families through investments in agriculture, blue-chip stocks, skill acquisition training, small and medium enterprise startups, and asset acquisition, among other family-friendly endeavors. Implementing the Chief of Army Staff Personnel Empowerment Loan Scheme comes with numerous benefits for personnel and their families. These include poverty alleviation, shorter loan bureaucracy processes, non-exploitative lending rates, and a smooth recovery system. The scheme is designed to be accessible and sustainable, achieving its desired objective of effectively supporting the welfare and well-being of all personnel. Kudos must be given to the President and members of Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association and members of Nigerian Army Soldiers' Wives Association for their support in achieving the Chief of Army Staff Command philosophy. Relatedly, in keeping with the commitment to ensure conducive working and living conditions for troops and their families, the Chief of Army Staff approved the execution of numerous infrastructural projects. Some of such projects include the recently commissioned living quarters for Army, War College, Nigeria, the Directorate of Army, Public Relations and Department of Army, Logistics Personnel 30 blocks of flats, 3 renovated and remodeled 12 units of corporal and below quarters in 174 Battalion, and a fire station each at Bonny Cantonment and Ikeja Army Cantonment in Lagos respectively. Others are the newly constructed Headquarters Central Ordnance Depot Administrative Office Complex to provide requisite logistics support to troops in the front line, Twin Regimental Sergeant Major's Quarters in Port Harcourt, the Ordnance Tailoring Factory, a remodeled Coppers Lodge, and a new office complex to accommodate the Headquarters 26 Support Engineer Regiment all in Ibadan. Others include newly built accommodation for officers of the Guards Brigade at Wu Basi Barracks Extension, RSM accommodation, Guards Guard Room, and Medical Reception Station, all in Mambila Barracks, among others in Abuja, and the Nigerian Army School of Public Relations and Information permanent site at the Muhammadu Buhari Cantonment, Gidi, Abuja. The Chief of Administration Army explains further.
Talking especially about sound administration, welfare is very key. Then talking directly about welfare programs, you have the medical corps, and all that has been done to ensure that personnel, particularly those in operation areas and their family members, get the best medical care. We have prioritized medical evacuation of personnel, both abroad and within the country. Our reference hospitals are being equipped with high-tech equipment to be able to compete favorably, if not better than teaching hospitals. We've just commissioned the medical center at the 401 Brigade in Makurdi. The hospital in Lokoja is being upgraded. The one in 9th Brigade, Ikeja, is being upgraded. Also, the one in Yola is being upgraded. We have the group life personnel insurance assurance that is fully funded by the Army Headquarters, and this is to give immediate support to the families of the deceased personnel to be able to cater for their own upkeep. And we have another program where for any soldier a personnel who dies in service, who dies in operations, the family is entitled to 24 months salary and allowance. And then we also have the affordable homes for soldiers where they can own their own houses while still in service by paltry contribution to the scheme, and this is highly subsidized. We also have another scheme where the Chief of Army Staff's loan scheme that is given to personnel at 0%, where personnel can draw funds and do some major projects on their own without having to pay any interest on the loan incurred.
The Nigerian Army under General Lagbaja has significantly enhanced its operational efficiency and effectiveness through a robust civil-military cooperation framework. Recognizing the importance of fostering trust and collaboration with the civil populace as a force multiplier to enhance operational effectiveness, the Nigerian Army has continued to demonstrate its commitment to protecting the populace and contributing to their well-being. One of the flagship initiatives under the Civil Military Cooperation umbrella is the Chief of Army Staff's Special Intervention Projects. These projects are carefully tailored to address the specific needs of benefiting communities. The intervention ranges from much-needed relief and support to host communities addressing areas of need such as healthcare, education, infrastructure, and social services. This has helped to improve community members' quality of life and fostered a sense of goodwill towards the Nigerian Army. Furthermore, the mutual trust essential for galvanizing support to facilitate intelligence gathering and ensure community cooperation has continued to improve between the Nigerian Army and local communities through a close working relationship, ultimately resulting in the success of military operations. As part of Nigerian Army's efforts to elicit the strategic support of members of the National Assembly in its determination to continue to discharge its constitutional responsibilities, the Chief of Army Staff played host to members of the Senate and House of Representative Committees on Army, during which he briefed them on the operational engagements of troops in the country as well as the challenges the Nigerian Army faces in its effort to maintain peace and stability in the country. This, no doubt, provided an insight into understanding how members of the National Assembly can effectively fulfill their oversight function, thereby contributing to the overall effectiveness and accountability of the Nigerian Army. Similarly, to foster renewed commitment towards sustainable diplomatic collaborative efforts, the Chief of Army Staff engaged defense attachés from various countries to discuss ways and means to facilitate information and intelligence sharing. The engagement was to further strengthen international collaboration on defense diplomacy that can aid the acquisition of needed military equipment and skills. Also, recognizing the impact of coordination and synergy among the instruments and elements of national power, the Chief of Army Staff played host to a number of high-profile guests, cutting across various segments of the society. In this wise, the Chief of Army Staff played host to some state governors, the Honorable Minister of Defense, who was accompanied by the Honorable Minister of State Defense, the Chief of Defense Staff, and other senior staff of the Ministry of Defense. Other personalities that called on the Chief of Army Staff include ambassadors, high commissioners, the Chief of Defense Intelligence, the Comptroller General of Customs Services, traditional rulers, Chief Executive of companies, and heads of ministries, departments, and agencies, among others. Such visits fostered a better understanding between visiting personalities and their organizations and the Nigerian Army. The Chief of Army Staff did not fail to leverage the knowledge and influence of these critical stakeholders to canvass support for the Nigerian Army to help bring about lasting peace and security required for prosperity and development in the Army.
Upon my assumption of office as the 23rd Chief of Army Staff, on the 23rd of June 2023, I crafted my command philosophy, and that is to transform the Nigerian Army into a well-trained, equipped, and highly motivated force towards achieving our constitutional responsibilities within a joint environment. This command philosophy is designed to rest on three beams, and that is leadership, operational effectiveness, and sound administration. Looking back 12 months after, I will outline the successes that we have achieved along those three beams of leadership, operational effectiveness, and sound administration. On the leadership front, the focus has been to build trust between the leadership at every level, from the Army headquarters to the formation level, even to unit level, with the troops who form the fulcrum of the fighting force. And we have done this largely through continuous engagement with the troops and even with the army families that reside in our barracks. We have also instituted the reward and sanction system, which has been followed rigidly, and for troops who have performed exceptionally in the field, and even in other administrative tasks, they have been duly rewarded. On the part of sanction, those that have not measured up have been sanctioned accordingly. From the feedback from our units and formations, the troops are now convinced that if they give their all, the leadership will reward them accordingly, and that is heartwarming. On operational effectiveness, we have been focused on training our troops to be prepared for the task that they are assigned in the field. And so we have continued with some mission-focused training activities like the exercise Shining Star, Operation Restore Hope, and the exercise Fast Bolt. We have also inducted new platforms into our operations theater. As at date, we have inducted well over 300 B vehicles configured as gun trucks. We have repaired key combat enablers like the mine resistance and bush protected vehicles, those ones that have hitherto been unserviceable. The Command Engineering Depot in Kaduna has been resourced to repair burnt, broken down, and unserviceable vital equipment like mine resistance and bush protected vehicles, main battle tanks, and the like. The sound administration mantra of my command philosophy is designed to be the wheel upon which every other team moves. And in this respect, we are focused on medical, the upgrade of infrastructure, and the well-being of the troops and their family. Across our barracks and cantonments, we have the upgrade of accommodation facilities and key barrack infrastructure ongoing in almost all the barracks. For medical, we have been systematic in the interventions we have conducted in our medical facilities. We started from the reference hospital in Kaduna, Lagos, and the Army Command and Naowa Hospital in Abuja. And in doing this, we have ensured that essential medical equipment like the CT scan, the MRI, and the X-ray machines are installed in all these reference hospitals. We have also gone a level down to the Brigade Medical Center, and currently we are upgrading our Brigade Medical Centers one at a time, starting from the 401 Brigade Medical Center in Makurdi. From there we moved to Lokoja. Currently we are in 9th Brigade Medical Center in Lagos, and thereafter we will take the 23 Brigade Medical Center in Yola, moving to other formations across the country. In the upgrade of our medical center, we have not left out the primary health center, which is the medical reception stations at the battalion level. And in 192 Battalion, in 103 Battalion, and other battalions spread across the country, we have upgraded the medical reception station by providing laboratory equipment and other essential equipment that are necessary for effective functioning of these medical facilities. We have provided water in barracks that hitherto had no water flowing from the taps. In Makurdi, in Ikeja, we have constructed road on a massive scale in Makurdi, in 401 Brigade, and in Ikeja we are currently partnering with the Ministry of Power to ensure that there is provision of electricity to the residents of this barracks. We have a partner that is installing prepaid meters in all the blocks in the Ikeja cantonment currently, and thereafter they will move to the Abakwa cantonment in Enugu and other cantonments across the country. Overall, the design is that when the troops are motivated, they will be focused on their primary task of combating the enemy of the nation and extending that frontier of peace and stability without any distraction from their family, since their welfare will also be taken care of, and our nation will be better for it. Looking back, I can say that the troops are responding to the overtures and the several initiatives from the Army High Command, and they are giving their best in the field, and we expect them to continue along this trajectory. Looking back the past 1 year, the successes that we have achieved will now have come by without the unflinching support of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of our Armed Forces, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Grand Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic, I, as the Chief of Army Staff, on behalf of my officers, soldiers, and the entire Army family, would like to appreciate Mr. President, the leadership and the membership of the National Assembly, the Ministers of Defense, and the Chief of Defense Staff for their support to the Nigerian Army, which has translated to the effective performance of duties by the troops in the field. I equally want to acknowledge the support of Nigerians to their army, the People's Army. I want to appreciate the support of the traditional institution, the clergy, the political leadership at the national and subnational levels, and Nigerians from every segment of the society and our community, which has been a great source of encouragement to the troops.
Evidently, the Nigerian Army is undergoing a remarkable transformation under the visionary leadership of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Abiodun Lagbaja. It is no gainsaying that clear understanding, interpretation, strategic guidance, and implementation of the Chief of Army Staff Command philosophy have driven innovative reforms that have translated into troops' high morale, operational effectiveness, and mitigation of insecurity across the country. The Chief of Army Staff and his team have achieved ample success in the past year and will leave no stone unturned in pursuing set benchmarks in order to attain the next milestone. Long live Nigerian Army. Long live Forces of Nigeria. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria.